Celtics fans, this is your opportunity to sound off and let your feelings be known in the comment section right now. How would you grade the Celtics offseason so far, going all the way back to when Danny Ainge stepped down as the president of basketball operations and Brad Stevens took over for him? A, B, C, D, or F? Get your grades in the comment section. You're watching Boston Celtics Today by Chat Sports. I am your host, Chase Sr. Coming up on today's show, some Dennis Schroder rumors and also some NBA Summer League takeaways. Let's start off with Schroder, though, because according to Mass Live, the Celtics have offered Schroder a one-year deal in NBA free agency, but Boston still waiting for an answer back from Schroder as to whether or not he's going to accept that deal. What would it cost? It'd be a mid-level exception deal for Schroder, and according to some reports, there would be an option for a second year. We're talking about a player who turned down a monster contract extension from the Los Angeles Lakers back during the regular season, and it looks as though now it's only going to be a 1-year or 2-year deal for a guy whose stock once was up, now it is seemingly down. Here's what an NBA source had to say to the Boston Herald. Dennis Schroder is only interested in a 1-year deal, and then he wants to get back out there in NBA free agency, said the source, who added that Schroder has also run into another problem, the sudden lack of available starting point guard jobs out there on the open market. Schroder needs time. I think he's in a state of shock because of what he's done, the source said of Schroder turning down that 4-year, $84 million contract extension last season with the Los Angeles Lakers, who responded by trading for Russell Westbrook. That's a big reason why Schroder's stock right now down, in addition to jobs just not being readily available right now for a guy who is in the running for the Sixth Man of the Year award 2 years ago. If I'm Dennis Schroder and I'm still searching for a job and I'm to the point where I have to take a mid-level exception deal and not $20+ million per season, I'd be shocked as well. I said it at the time when those reports came out from ESPN's Brian Windhorst of Schroder and his camp turning down that contract extension, that he's insane to turn down that much money because that's great money for a good player. And if we're being honest, Dennis Schroder is a good player, not a great player. And I think Schroder overplayed his hand here. He's a guy who I think is really good coming in off the bench. I'm not sure he's a long-term starter because his play is so inconsistent and so up and down. And I want to double down on that statement that I made that Schroder is a good player, not a great player. I think $20+ million for Schroder is crazy. Now the Lakers bring in a better player in Russell Westbrook. They're certainly paying him a lot more than $44 million annually per season over the next 2 seasons. But I think that roster is in a much better place now than they would have been with Schroder being that long-term option. So for Schroder, you did this to yourself. There's a reason why teams aren't willing to pay you all that much money, because in the playoffs you had a great opportunity that you squandered with Anthony Davis out to really prove yourself. And now you're searching for a job. Rate your level of interest in Dennis Schroder, though, for me, Celtics fans, and scale it for me from 1 to 10. I'll expand my thoughts on Schroder coming up. First, though, make sure you subscribe to Celtics Today by Chat Sports because we're pushing out videos like this one multiple times a week. We have you covered with everything that's going on with your Celtics. YouTube.com/CelticsTV, or hit that red subscribe button down below. We just recently surpassed 7,000 subscribers. This is one of our faster growing channels here at Chat Sports. More subscribers, more videos. Hit that red subscribe button so that you're able to stay up to date with everything going on with your Celtics. I do say all of that about Dennis Schroder, but I do want to get to this. A 1 or 2 year rental on the cheap for Schroder, I actually don't hate it, considering that the Celtics have some needs at the point guard spot. There's a point guard quandary going on right now within this franchise after trading away Kemba Walker to the Oklahoma City Thunder. It looks as though he's going to go to the New York Knicks. And the only proven commodities that you have at point guard with a first-year head coach in Ime Udoka is Marcus Smart, who's never really played the traditional point guard position, and Payton Pritchard, who's playing well in Summer League, which we'll get to, but is also an unproven player. So if you bring in Schroder on a 1 or 2 year deal, I kind of like it because you're not going to have to pay him all that much money like the Lakers once thought they were going to. How can Schroder ball out. And who is he as a player? 2 years ago with OKC, really had a career year and was the runner-up in the NBA Sixth Man of the Year voting. If you can get this Schroder coming in off the bench, this is a great buy low, get a very good player deal for the Celtics. I mean, he averaged 19 points per game, but all of those numbers across the board went down significantly pretty much in terms of his points per game and his efficiency from the field as well as from distance. So if Schroder can get back to being that guy that he was 2 years ago, I think he'd fit in along nicely alongside Jayson Tatum and Jalen Brown and play off ball as well as on ball. You're just hoping you're getting the more consistent Schroder as compared to the inconsistent and somewhat maddening Schroder. He's going to be an explosive player. He can get to the cup some nights. He's going to shoot well from deep and on the floor, but it's that inconsistency issue, which is why a lot of teams have pressed pause on paying him big money in NBA free agency. Celtics fans, speak up, sound off once again. Do you think Boston should sign Schroder? Type Y for yes, type N for no. Get those votes in the comment section. If a deal for 1 or 2 years, maybe a player option on the back end, ranges between, let's say, $7 and $10 million, and I'm Brad Stevens, and I see that this guy clearly has some ability, I think I'd be willing to pay Schroder that much money in NBA free agency on a discounted price. Here's what we have coming up next on Boston Celtics Today, and another reason why you should subscribe, because over the weekend and this week, I was just doing some heavy scouting during the NBA Summer League, including some players that have been balling out for the Celtics so far in Las Vegas. So, Celtics able to take down the Atlanta Hawks in their NBA Summer League debut on Monday, and I have some takeaways that I want to get to. Let's first take a look at what the Celtics were able to do, holding off Atlanta 85-83 on Monday afternoon in Las Vegas. Payton Pritchard, Carsen Edwards, Romeo Langford all played well. So too did Yam Madar, the 2020 second-round pick, who was able to don the Celtics green for the first time since getting drafted 2 years ago. And I do want to get to some of my breakdowns from what I was able to see and dissect from the Celtics' 2-point win. Let's start with Payton Pritchard. 23 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals, and he was clutch down the stretch for the Celtics, able to hit a go-ahead bucket late as well as some clutch free throws to lock down that Celtics victory. Also, Carsen Edwards played well, and I'm thinking that Carsen Edwards, finally, because he hasn't really lived up to those expectations with Boston so far since getting drafted a couple years ago, might be able to become a microwave scorer off the bench for the Celtics' regular roster this upcoming season, especially considering some of the questions that there are at the 1 and 2 guard spots. What did he do against the Hawks? 17 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists. He went 6 of 17 from the field, and I thought Carsen Edwards displayed some three-point ability because this guy, when he crosses half court, if we're being honest, is a threat to find twine from distance. And I think that gives the Celtics a lot of value, especially considering the cheap price that you were paying him. If he can stretch the floor and give you a dynamic combo guard who can also, at stretches, play the point guard, and he's able to knock down threes from 30 to 35 feet and take some pressure off of Jayson Tatum as well as Jalen Brown, I kind of like Carsen Edwards' role on this team. The only problem with him, it's certainly been defense so far. Payton Pritchard, Carsen Edwards, though, considering what they did in the NBA Summer League debut, and also their impact going into this upcoming season. Who do you think will have the bigger role and impact? Type P for Payton Pritchard, type E for Carsen Edwards. Get those votes in the comment section. Yam Madar, 2020 second-round pick, Israeli League most improved player. That's a reason why his stock is somewhat going up. Made his NBA Summer League debut with the Celtics and played pretty well. 8 points on 4 of 6 shooting. Hit a baseline jumper to start the game when the Celtics went off to a nice little run to start the ball game. I am not expecting Yam Madar to make this roster this upcoming season. But at 20 years old, can he be a draft and stash player once again this year? Continue to develop him as he continues to fine-tune his game and work on his body a little bit. Maybe. Hey, Some positive news for Yam Madar. Bruno Fernando also. He is joining the Summer League squad with the Celtics. Gives this team another option. This past year, 2020, 2021, very, very limited sample size and very limited minutes. This is a guy who can maybe take over for Semi Ojeleye, give you some front court minutes. I know Semi Ojeleye kind of gave you a guard-forward hybrid, but Bruno Fernando is a guy 6'9", 240. When there's some opportunities available in the front court for Boston, maybe he could prove himself in Summer League as well. So that is our Summer League roundup here on Boston Celtics Today. I like what I saw from Payton Pritchard as well as Carsen Edwards. Yam Madar had some flashes as well, and we'll be able to see what Fernando can do over the next couple of weeks for the Celtics team. Celtics fans, make sure you subscribe. You subscribe, with everything that we're doing here on Celtics Today by Chat Sports. YouTube.com/Celtics TV. I was just so excited to bring you the latest Celtics news and rumors that I just fumbled over everything that I was trying to say. But the point is, hit that red subscribe button. Let's get the 10K subs because more subscribers equals more videos here on the channel.